Now, I've always said that Boruto had this certain level of unpredictability that made the series very interesting, and this chapter really hit the nail on the head in that regard. And that of course is referring to Code somehow now being able to use his claw marks to create 10 Tails clones, and also this very interesting tidbit that I think a lot of people miss that might indicate that Ishiki is still alive, but we're going to get into that later on in the chapter. Now, the chapter basically started off with Shikamaru talking to Kawaki, which I found very weird and interesting. Now, I've realized that Shikamaru is at the forefront of the Boruto manga ever since like chapter 60, I would say, or chapter 55. And normally when this happens for a character, it's either they're gonna die or get a power-up. Now, I doubt Boruto is gonna give Shikamaru a power-up, so it's likely that they're setting up this character to die. And we see his dialogue with Kawaki. It first started off very friendly. He's asking Kawaki, does he know anything about Amado? What does he think his plan was with giving Kawaki the karma? And Kawaki's saying he doesn't know, but it's kinda irrelevant because he thinks Amado is basically dead at this point. And then Kawaki truthfully says, Shikamaru, you're probably secretly happy that Amado is no longer here because he's a shifty bastard, right? And Shikamaru blows up and tries to attack Kawaki. Naruto has to hold him back. Now, I found this very manufactured because I don't think that Shikamaru would blow up in this way to like literally launch himself at Kawaki to attack him just for stating the truth. And I'm sure Shikamaru doesn't want Amado around. He didn't want him there in the first place. So Shikamaru blowing up at Kawaki for simply stating the truth that it's probably a good thing that Amado is no longer here. It's probably a good thing that he's dead, right? So him reacting in that manner was just very weird to me and out of character for Shikamaru. But nevertheless, we move on to the next portion of the chapter where we see that Amado is contacting Shikamaru to let him know that everything's okay and that he's still in the land of snow at a train station. He then informs Shikamaru that he has Eida and Damon with him, and Eida has decided to take up Shikamaru on his prior offer in chapter 70 or chapter 71. He also informs Shikamaru that Eida has cut ties with Code and he no longer has his greatest ally. Now Shikamaru, now remembering the dude who soloed Kawaki in the Code fight, asks Amado about another ally on Code's side, which Amado informs him has to be Damon. Now Shikamaru starts to shit bricks because he's like, Damon? That name sounds demonish or something, because this dude started to shit bricks the moment he heard the name Damon, as if that should mean something. It was very weird. Shikamaru is basically shitting bricks the entire chapter, by the way. Amado then informs Shikamaru that Damon is Eida's little brother and he will be joining her in the Hidden Leaf village. Now Shikamaru is justifiably kinda upset about this because that wasn't brought to his attention earlier on, but that was with good reason because they didn't know about Eida and Damon before, at least Amado didn't know. So now Shikamaru is hearing that Damon, the dude who soloed Kawaki, is now a package with Eida, and he's justifiably shitting bricks at this point because one thing we need to know about Shikamaru is that he likes to be in control, even if the person is stronger than him, and we'll go into this later on in the chapter because it applies to Naruto as well. But basically here is kind of shitting bricks because he knows that Damon was able to defeat Kawaki, and Kawaki's seen as like the peak of the power system to Shikamaru, at least in regards to the people within the Hidden Leaf. But now they're gonna bring in Eida, and he knows what Eida is capable of, and he's seen what Damon could do to Kawaki, and he knows that he can control these villains. He can control Kawaki, and he already has a problem with that. Just imagine 2 more superpowered cyborgs that he can control or manipulate. It's gonna be a problem for him. So justifiably, Shikamaru is shitting bricks at this point. A silver lining to this is that Amado also informed Shikamaru that he removed the limiters from Code, but that shouldn't be a problem. Amado seems to be okay with Code not having his limiters because he has Eida and Damon. He's 100% certain, and he even tells Shikamaru this, that once we have Eida and Damon, we don't need to worry about Code. He's certain that the power system is in their favor at this point in time. That's a key thing to note. Now of course Eida has to put Amado in his place because they're also there with Amado in the train station waiting to board the train to come to the Hidden Leaf. And Amado makes it clear that it's gonna take probably 3 to 4 days for them to get to the Hidden Leaf from the Land of Snow. So that gives us an idea of how long Sasuke had to travel when he went to the Land of Snow to get information about Bug to come back to the Hidden Leaf village. So that could mean that we got maybe a 2 to 3 day time skip in between the time Boruto died and when we came back to the village. But that aside, Eida basically threatens Amado, saying that if things doesn't go well with Kawaki, if she doesn't get to be Kawaki's woman, she's gonna kill Amado out of spite, which Amado is basically, or surprisingly, surprised about, which is weird. I thought he would be like, oh yeah, I understood that before, but he's like, oh, I thought we were cool, damn. Very tragic. But yeah, that's basically what happens. Amado seems to be shaking, shitting bricks, and then she says that, hey, this should be obvious. You gave me an ability that makes it hard for me to find real love. I should kill you right now, but because we have this opportunity for me to meet Kawaki, I'm gonna take it. So she's being very strategic and not letting her emotions rule her judgment, which is kind of weird since she's doing this because she likes Kawaki, or that, at least that's what they're telling us right now. But Damon also makes it clear that he'll be the one doing the killing, so I guess take that as you will. Then we see Shikamaru in the Hokage office saying that he's gonna put out a call to summon Naruto, the Hokage, to the Hokage office along with Team 7 including Kawaki. Now this is what I find really weird, right? I spoke about this in the prior chapters as well. It's so weird that it seems like Shikamaru is the Hokage, not Naruto. Like, just imagine summoning the Hokage to the office. And I understand that he's the advisor and all that jazz, he can call Naruto. But it's so weird how it's structured, right? Like, Amado puts in a call, he calls Shikamaru. Like, they were all there. Naruto was there, I believe Sasuke was there probably. But Naruto is definitely there with Kawaki, with the conversation between Kawaki and Shikamaru. Naruto was there when the guy came in and said that there's a call from Amado. So Naruto heard this, Naruto being the Hokage, heard that there's a call from Amado, the guy they were just talking about, this major chess piece in the game, Amado, and he knows that Shikamaru is going to take that call. Instead of going with Shikamaru to hear what's happening about Amado, this very interesting chess piece in this game that can remove Code's limiters, to hear what happened with Code, to hear what happened with these cyborgs, Naruto goes somewhere else. Where exactly? To do what? It's so weird. Shikamaru went to the Hokage office to take the call. Where did Naruto go that Shikamaru now has to summon Naruto, the Hokage, to the Hokage office? Shouldn't Naruto have gone with Shikamaru to take the call to hear what's happening with Amado since he's so important? It's just so weird how they write Naruto as the Hokage. It's like he's not even the Hokage. It's like Shikamaru's the Hokage and Naruto is just the figurehead, I suppose. Like, and it's so weird. Like, even if Naruto is the figurehead, like something so big as this, like Amado just got captured by the big bad dudes to remove the limiter so the other big bad dude can become a bigger bad dude, and Naruto as the Hokage decides to go somewhere else. I really want to know where Naruto went. Like, I really want to know what was so important that Naruto wouldn't go to listen to that call to see what was going on. That very important call. But I'm gonna end my rant for now. You guys get the point. Of course, we then move on to Boruto. We see him feeling his karma, the karma marking on his chest. He's feeling some kind of sensation. He puts on his clothes. He's getting ready to go out on the mission Shikamaru just called him for, right? Because Shikamaru put it under the guise of a mission. But we know it's not really a mission. He's just trying to inform them of the current situation. We have Hinata crying, saying that she doesn't know if Boruto is going to come back this time, which is justifiable since he literally just died a few days ago, right? It's kind of weird. It's mind-blowing. This dude is like, what, 13 or something? I don't know, bro. It's crazy out here. But yeah, Himari is there listening to Hinata crying over Boruto. Boruto reassures her, then he leaves, and then he meets Momoshiki outside. Momoshiki was just like chilling, saying, okay, cool, I'm going to give you time to have your conversation with your mother and hear what you're saying, and then I'm going to throw it back in your face. Because that's basically what he did. So Boruto basically says that no matter what, I'll come home. And then Momoshiki says, you promised to come home? How irresponsible. Then Boruto basically calls him a freeloader and saying that you can't resurrect anymore, why are you still sticking around? Then Momoshiki reveals something very interesting. Momoshiki says, why do you still cling to your meaningless existence when you know your future holds nothing but despair? I told you that you were going to lose everything and that moment is rapidly approaching. Then Momoshiki also said that you shall despair, lose your will to live, enough to want to escape this world. And when that day comes, I shall take over and live Uzumaki Boruto's life for you. Just to finish up, he also says that don't worry, all you need to do is just cower quietly in a corner of your psyche for eternity. I do not care about resurrecting anymore since possessing your body shall yield the same result. Now I remember vividly when Boruto first died, and Momoshiki resurrected Boruto, and everyone was saying that, why did Momoshiki do this? Like, he realizes that he can't resurrect anymore. Is he just gonna stay in Boruto's body and watch him for the entirety of existence? That can't be it. Momoshiki must have a plan. There must be a reason behind why he did that. Because based on what we knew at that point, there wasn't a way for Momoshiki to resurrect in Boruto's body. He could maybe take over temporarily for a few seconds or a few minutes, but that's basically it. And Boruto said we shouldn't worry about that. He can control Momoshiki's power right now. So when I asked the question and I said, why did Momoshiki do this if this puts him at a disadvantage? It basically makes Momoshiki just a power source for Boruto to use until whatever destiny comes forth. And that's kind of weird for Otsutsuki. Why would he just relegate himself to be a weapon? That doesn't make sense in Momoshiki's character. Some said that, oh well, Momoshiki did it because he just wanted to remain alive. There isn't any sinister plan behind what he did. It's just basically as he said, as the chapter said, yada 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 yada. And I said, but if you really think that's the case, I don't know what to tell you, because based on what Momoshiki is characterized as, he wouldn't make this decision knowing that Boruto would just use him as a weapon going forward, and there wasn't any way for him to come back. There must be a grand scheme behind what he did, and he basically revealed it in this chapter. He's still gunning to take over Boruto's body, but not in the sense of resurrecting and getting back his old body, but in the sense that he's going to basically take over Boruto's mind, similar to what Ishiki did to Jigen, but more on a deeper level rather than just like putting your stem in someone's brain and controlling them like a puppet. Like, he literally be Boruto, and that's very interesting. So yeah, basically we know that Momoshiki's plan is to take over Boruto's body spiritually going forward, which still opens up Kawaki to be controlled by Ishiki, but we're gonna get into that later on in the video. Now we see that Boruto is still resisting this fate Momoshiki has given to him or prophesized for him, and he says that he'd rather die than hand himself over to Momoshiki. And Momoshiki basically says, I won't let you die ever again. You're my precious vessel, my life. No one can have you. Now this is basically a complete 180 from what happened in the chapter where Boruto died, because Momoshiki basically said that this is a one and done thing. The next time this happens, you're on your own and you're going to die. I know he's saying that, oh, I won't let you die. No, I want to know by what mechanic will Momoshiki save Boruto repeatedly if he does reach or get into like a near-death experience again. I'd like to see how that plays out. So we basically see Sarada and Mitsuki coming to the scene at this point in time, asking Boruto if he's ready for the mission, and Boruto basically says or shouts out that you gotta be kidding me, give me a break, I'll decide my own fate, thank you very much. And then he just jumps into the air, basically running towards the Hokage office to meet Shikamaru, saying, oh yeah. So he's not really fazed by what Momoshiki said, and before this chapter came out, people were theorizing that this was Momoshiki running off to do something, but this is Boruto. He's still Boruto. He's just being very eccentric, I suppose. We then move over to Code, basically coming into the Ten Tails dimension through one of the claws he placed on the Otsutsuki panels, I believe. And then he basically introduces Bug to the Ten Tails. Now the interesting thing about this is that Code says that normally you can only get access to this space-time using space-time ninjutsu, but he's an exception. I can come here via my claw marks placed when Jigen brought me. We'd be in trouble if they disappeared. Now he's then again saying that his claw marks are not space-time ninjutsu, but yet he's able to travel through space and time with them. It's kinda weird. And then that brings us to Code literally using the claw marks to shrink the Ten Tails and creating mini Ten Tails with his claw marks on them. It's kind of weird. Like, these claw marks can basically do anything Code wants them to do at this point. I don't know. They have to explain them very soon because he's just doing anything at this point. Anything he wants to do, they just do it. Of course, aside from defeating Damon, because we know what happened there. Now, this is where we get into the theory about Ishiki possibly being alive. Now, when Code sees the Ten Tails, you see that the Ten Tails is still pinned down by the black rods. Now, the interesting thing about this is that whenever we see the Otsutsukis use these black rods, once they die, the black rods disappear. We saw that with Fuse Momoshiki. He used the rods on Naruto, but the moment Boruto killed Momoshiki, like legit killed him, the rods just vaporized and disappeared. Now we know that these rods are used to absorb chakra and restrict movements or restrict the flow of chakra in general, which is basically what these rods are doing to the Ten Tails to a greater extent, which is why the Ten Tails can't move, because as Code said later on in the chapter, the Ten Tails is just a mass of chakra. So these rods are basically restricting this mass of chakra from moving, which is why the 10,000 is stuck in that place. So these rods, we assume these rods were created by Ishiki. Now what this would mean is that since the rods have not vaporized, this means that Ishiki is probably still alive, some way, somehow. We don't know how or in what fashion. Now we know this might be linked to Amado and what he's planning on doing, because at this point in time we still don't know how Amado was able to reconstruct the karma. He did tell us that he had some Ishiki DNA or data left over and he used that to fashion the karma and gave it to Kawaki so that he can access the power that was already within him. Now we don't know if he has Ishiki himself stored somewhere, the real Ishiki, and whatever died was some other Ishiki. Now this is a batshit crazy theory, right? But I'm just saying that it's possible that Ishiki is alive some way, somehow. Especially since we know that these chakra rods should disappear once the person who used them dies. Now of course we had the rods from Pain era where Pain used the rods and they didn't disappear after he died. But that's kind of a different instance because later on in the war arc when they were used, they also disappeared after the person who used them got packed up or got defeated in some way. So it was either retconned or those rods are different kinds of rods, you know, but based on the rods that Ishiki and Momoshiki uses, those rods seem to be the same thing. And if we assume that Ishiki is the one who pinned down this 10,000, then Ishiki is probably still alive. Now, this could also mean that Ishiki wasn't the one who pinned down these 10,000. It could mean that this was the other Otsutskis that we see on the panel, or it was somebody else. But likely the missing Otsutskis, the two missing Otsutskis that we see the panels destroyed for. So it's either Ishiki's alive or it was done by these Otsutskis. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, the more likely option is that it was created by somebody else rather than Ishiki being alive, but it's an interesting theory. Now we also see Code say something very interesting. He says that pesky Sasuke, Uchiha Sasuke, can't come here anymore because you know that Sasuke lost his Rinnegan, which gave him the ability to travel through space and time using space-time ninjutsu. But he also says that Boruto and Kawaki are full Otsutskis now. They might master space-time ninjutsu before long, then this place will no longer be secure. Now, again, he says that Boruto and Kawaki are now full Otsutskis. This is very interesting because we know that Kawaki was like around 85% Otsutsuki before he lost the Karma Seal. That was confirmed by the characters. Boruto was also around 85-80% Otsutsukified as well. Now the interesting thing about this is that he's insinuating that Kawaki somehow gained the missing 15% if I can count needed. If he was at like 85%, he gained the 15% needed of Ishiki's data to complete his body to become 100% Ishiki or 100% Otsutsuki. How? We have no idea. Now, this could be Code talking out of his ass because he's not very smart. That might be the case, right? But it could also mean that Code somehow sensed that Kawaki is now completely Otsutsukified, similar to how Momoshiki was able to sense that Kawaki and Boruto were around like 85% or 82% complete. So it could be that Code was able to do the same thing as well. Now we don't know how Kawaki would receive this data. One plausible explanation is that Kawaki got this data from the army received from Amado. And that happened over time because Kawaki had the Karma Seal before he even realized it. That was probably for a few weeks. Now you could argue that why wasn't Boruto extracted the same way Kawaki was over this short period of time? Well, that could be because Boruto was on the pills that was suppressing his extraction. You know, that could be the case while Kawaki wasn't because he didn't know that he had the karma. So, you know, that could be a good explanation for it. Although you could say that the more logical explanation is that Code is just stupid, you know? But yeah. Now one good thing that this chapter did do for Code is that he somehow now has the ability to place claw marks on objects without touching them. He can just look at you as he did with the Tentals. So that's a massive upgrade in his power since he can just look at a character, place a claw mark and just appear on them without them even knowing. It's very, very unique. Now, as was explained, these miniature Tentals are basically a mixture of Code's power and also the power of the Tentals that Code siphoned off or basically squeezed off, which was very weird. They need to explain the mechanics of those claw marks. But yeah, he squeezed them off, infused them with the powers of his claws, and now they're able to use even the claw marks' powers to travel through each other. It's very weird. They're like basically the 6 paths of pain at this point. They can work in unison to basically amplify their ability to win a fight. Now, as it relates to power or the power level of these clones, I think we need to scale it back a bit to see what they're capable of first before we say that they solo the verse, right? Because you know that the Ten-Tails that they have right now is a juvenile Ten-Tails. They call it a juvenile Ten-Tails for a specific reason, because it's a juvenile. It's not nearly as powerful as the Ten-Tails we saw in Shippuden that actually absorbed an Otsutsuki and actually benefited from absorbing the chakra from the earth to create a chakra fruit. That Ten-Tails is infinitely more powerful than this one. This Ten-Tails has not gone through that process. It's just the Ten-Tails, juvenile, specifically for that reason. So while these clones are very strong, don't mistake their Ten-Tails power for the same power that we saw in the War Arc. It's not the same. Now the difference here is that they have the chakra from Code, and we know Code is above Jigen. Now then you have to decide how much chakra did Code put into these clones, which is basically impossible. So I say just wait until we see them fight and see what they're capable of before we scale them into oblivion. But yeah, that's basically what happened in this chapter. All in all, this chapter was really good. We got some information from it that I think was very valuable. I have some theories that, I want to expound on a bit, that I got from this chapter and, give to you guys and lay them out and expound on them a little bit better so you guys can get the full context of what I'm seeing in this chapter. But all in all, guys, what do you rate this chapter? I don't like to use numbers. I just say it's very good. I think that's a good thing to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Drop a like if you like the video. Subscribe if you're new. But of course, above all else, have a great day. Peace out.